Hello to everyone. My partner Sebastian Quinayas and me, Natalia Frade, are going to explain the last chapter to the book, A Roulette Book for Arguments. This book is about the art to making arguments is for writers and to help to students for write their arguments. Well, the book has some examples, some rules, and all that. We are going to explain the last chapter as I said before. The name of this chapter is Appendix 2. In this chapter, the author have subjects like when terms are unclear, get specific. The second is when terms are contested and work from the clear cases. And the last subject is definitions don't replace arguments. And is all for my part. My partner Sebastian are going to speak about the author of this book.
Okay, all right. Now let's talk a little bit about the author of this book. So, Anthony Weston is an American writer, teacher, and philosopher. He's an author of widely used primers in critical thinking and ethical practice, and of a variety of unconventional books and essays on philosophical topics. So, Weston has worked in philosophy for his entire professional life, but teach on and writers uh, on interdisciplinary terms and beyond as well. He has co-taught with biologists and ecologists in both philosophy and environmental studies at Elon, working as well with astronomers and mastersons in environmental education programs, well as on design and social change projects such as Common Ground Eco Village. So Weston is retired from full-time teaching in 2018, but however, he will continue to write and to take more leadership roles in the Eco Village. So he has some books. He write up a lot based on the critical and constructive thinking, and we found some books of this topic. One of these are the rule book for arguments. The next one is the workbook for arguments, the creativity for critical thinkers, and the thinking of drought questions. Also, he has works based on the pedagogy, and the most important word of this topic is the teaching us as the art of staying. So, with nothing more to say, let's get started.
Two to the one, from the one to the three. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed.
Now let's talk a little bit about the Appendix 2. This chapter is based on definitions. So we start mentioning that sometimes we have arguments that require attention to the meaning of the words. Sometimes we maybe not know the establishing meaning of a word, or the established meaning maybe can be specialized. For example, if the conclusion of your argument is that Wiyaks are herbivorous, uh, our first task is to define your terms, and unless you are speaking to an logical ecologist. If you found this conclusion, the first thing that you need maybe is a dictionary. Okay, before we can argue effectively about the meanings, we need an agreed upon idea with others, because we need to know the idea of what we are arguing about. So still another kind of definition is required when the meaning is a term is contested. For example, what is a drug? Is alcohol a drug, or is tobacco a drug? What if they are? So we find an illogical way to answer these questions. The first part to answer that question is when the terms are unclear, get specific. Okay, in this part we analyze when the issues get more difficult. Sometimes the dictionary are less helpful. Why? Okay, it is because the dictionary definitions often offer synonyms for one thing that maybe be just unclear as the word that we are trying to define. Uh, in some situations, the dictionary also may give us a multiple definition, so we need to choose between the definitions what is the best in in the in the field. Okay, So for some words, we need to make the term more precise for ourselves. We need to use concrete and definite terms to rather than the vague ones. Okay, so for this next part, the author say us that the definition like this call a clear ideas to mind, but sometimes we need to investigate or evaluate in a specific way these meanings. Okay, we need to be sure, of course, for seek our definitions as we are going to use on our arguments. So the this can help us to avoid the general equivocations in the hour to argument about anything. Okay, so we are need to do a little research about the meaning that we will want to use, because sometimes we can define a term by a specific certain test or procedures that determine whether or not applies. This is called an operational definition.
As we have seen, dictionaries are very helpful when we have to define a word. We will be able to choose the appropriate meaning depending on the specific context. For example, the word meaning. In common Spanish, a diver or buzo is someone who stays submerged in the water breathing through certain device. However, the word buzo has other meanings. In Argentina, for example, it's also a sweatshirt, and in Chile and Costa Rica is a pair of sweatbands. Other example is the word bat. When used as a noun, a bat could be a winged nocturnal animal, or a piece of sporting equipment used in baseball. It can also be used as a verb when a player goes up to bat during baseball game.
Second part, I am going to speak about the subject of when terms are context word from the clear cases. In this part, the author said that sometimes the people have a different perception or application for the same word. And in this case, don't is enough a clarification or explanation. So you have to follow the next steps. The first is apply the term of way clearly. The second is exclude all the things that the term don't is clear. And the last one is about that will be those things whose status is unclear. And in this part, you have to include the um, definitions that make a discussion or something like that. So for the example that give us the author that is about a bird, following the steps that I mentioned before, I have a board for explain it. So we have a bird. So the first step is know what is the category of this bird that obviously is an animal. Yeah. So then of that we have to say what is the difference the birds in relationship with the others animals. For example, what is the difference between a bird of a pig or a cat, for example, and all that. What make to the birds? And is everything for the example. The author to say that is necessary explain things like if a bat is a bird or a penguin is a bird and all that. For this example number 2, he speak us about the drugs, and in this part he said that when the people mention about drugs, we think in heroin, cocaine,
marijuana, and etc., but we don't think in rice or potatoes, air, water, and all that. And give you a definition of drug that is the next. Is a substance used primarily to alter our state of mind in some specific ways. Um, so we can't say that always the drugs are addictive because exist some aliments and etc. that are addicts but are not a drug. The last subject is the title. Definition don't replace arguments. In this part, the author said that the definition helps you to organize ideas and all that, but the definitions don't make a function of be a argument. For this is necessary more dates and etc. For example, if we take the definition of drug that I said before, we can say, for example, that the coffee is a drug because the coffee sometimes can alter the states of the mind in specific ways. In conclusion, the author said that definitions don't are enough for be arguments by themselves. Is necessary more information, more facts, and all that. For example, if the definition that I said before, we can say that the alcohol is a drug and the coffee is a drug and all that. As I said before, the marijuana is a drug under the definition, but we know too that the marijuana have some sometimes is medicinal and all that. Is all.
In Colombia, it's normal that several things have the same name. For example, the word perico have different meanings in Colombia. The first is a beard, the second is a coffee, and the last one is a drug. For that, it's very necessary to be clear in our conversations. You can't say in a conversation of Colombia, what do you think about the perico? Because it's very complicated, the answer. For that, you should follow the steps that I mentioned before. The first is includes all the things that the term clearly fits. The second is excludes all the things that the term clearly doesn't fit. And the last one is say all the lines belongs the term and not somewhere else.
Now is your turn. Give two or more meanings to the following words with the help of a dictionary or internet research. Represent it with words or drawings. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, you can leave them in the comment box, and we appreciate if you subscribe and like our video. Best regards.